Coming up, parents, it's time to go back to school. And Moms for Liberty has a lesson in fighting for common sense in our children's curriculum. Their co-founder joins me when My View returns.
The board has essentially told us that we do not get a final say in our children's education. We are moms and dads who want our children to grow up safe, loved, and grounded in truth. We are here because no one should be forced to choose between their faith and their child's education.
Welcome back to My View. For years, parents have been locked out of their children's classrooms. But during COVID, moms and dads finally had a front row seat to what was being taught. Safe to say, we had some questions. And ever since, there's been a united front across the country to course correct our curriculums and remove the radical content. Like in Maryland, where parents fought all the way to the Supreme Court to remove inappropriate books for elementary school children. Moms for Liberty has been on the front line of that fight and many others, teaching parents how to be the best advocates for their students. And co-founder Tina Descovich joins me now. Tina, welcome to My View. Give me a little background on Moms for Liberty and why this is a group that is so important for the moment we're in our country right now.
Moms for Liberty was formed to help parents advocate for their children better in public education and at all levels of government. My co-founder and I, we started Moms for Liberty in 2021. We were school board members here in Florida, and we saw parental rights being taken away by school districts and state and federal government for over the 4 years that we served. And so all of America saw that in 2020, and we're experiencing it now. This week, we were at the Supreme Court. I know you showed a clip of Rosalind up there speaking in front of the Supreme Court. She's our Montgomery County chapter chair and works on our national team. Parents are very frustrated at what is happening in schools, and school boards are silencing them, shutting them down, and trying to rob them of their fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children.
Yeah, well, you just referenced that Supreme Court case. They heard arguments this past week in a case where parents, per their religious beliefs, want to opt their kids out of these sexualized books. You know, this isn't just about religion, though. This is about, Tina, what's appropriate and inappropriate for our young kids, isn't it?
It is. It's ultimately about the fundamental right, your right given to you by God to raise your children, to direct their moral and religious upbringing, their medical care, and their education, and most certainly their education when they are out of your care and sitting in a public school. And so this case touches a lot of those areas. It was a unified group that came together of a variety of religious parents and non-religious parents. I think there is a Muslim parent named in the case and an Ethiopian Orthodox parent named in the case. Some LDS parents came forward, Catholic parents. And so, there's a lot of things this case touches, but if you listen to some of the arguments, it was fascinating and a little bit disgusting to hear Supreme Court justices saying words like leather and bondage and lace and underwear and the things they had to discuss that were in books for 3-year-olds in Montgomery County.
Yeah, it's truly unbelievable that we've come to a place, and I hope the Supreme Court does what I think we're all hopeful they're going to do and does the right thing for our young kids. You know, I think whenever you look at universities, you have seen this shift to more of an indoctrination, it seems like, on college campuses than teaching. It's why the Trump administration is actually going after these universities and Ivy League institutions right now. But Tina, it's not just limited anymore to those universities, is it? It's also something we need to be paying attention to in our K through 12 schools as well.
Oh, absolutely. And the teachers that are coming out of these universities have been taught. They've been indoctrinated at the universities, and so they bring that with them when they come to become school teachers in pre-K through 12. And so we're seeing that all across the country right now. Here in my home county, the school board met last night to debate what to do with a teacher that was blatantly violating the new executive order by President Trump by using the students' preferred pronouns and preferred gender identity over what the parents have said they wanted the school to use. And so it's a firestorm everywhere. It's happening in every state and every community across the country, and I don't think we've seen the end of any of this.
Well, you know, I think one of the things that came out of COVID, obviously we saw a lot more of what was happening in these schools, but something else that came out of it is that a lot of parents actually switched to homeschooling their kids. So maybe give me your take on homeschooling versus, you know, the more traditional schooling, you know, around the country. What's your take on it?
I think every child is unique and different and has a different set of needs, and the parents know best what that is, whether it's homeschooling, private schooling, public charter school, hybrid, online. There's so many options now in school choice today, and every child is different. The one thing that I do have to say, though, is 80% of students are still in public schools, even with the school choice movement. And so we cannot just wash our hands and say, we don't care what goes on in public schools. I think Randy Weingarten was quoted yesterday saying, well, or even one of the Supreme Court justices was quoted saying, well, just take your kids out of the school if you're not happy with what they're teaching. A lot of parents don't have that option. Kids are still in public school, and we have to work to protect them.
Tell me where Moms for Liberty stands on what President Trump wants to do with abolishing the Department of Education.
Oh, that's an easy one. We were front and center for the signing of that executive order. We support that 100%. You know, it's kind of funny. Our very first national summit was in 2022 in Tampa, and we had Secretary DeVos there. And she kind of sheepishly said in passing on stage, well, I think the Department of Education should be demolished, to be honest, or to be, you know, abolished, honestly. And the crowd went wild. I mean, they were on their feet cheering. And even she said, oh, wow, I'm so glad everybody here agrees with me. So Moms for Liberty from early on has thought that the federal government having that much control and input over what is happening to our children on the local level is wrong, and it should be abolished.
Real quick here, you know, there's a big opportunity over the next 4 years to actually put our kids first again. What would be your hope at the end of the Trump administration to see happen to our school system in America?
Oh, there's so much that needs to happen. But the biggest thing they can do at the federal level is dismantle that Department of Education to return control back to states and local communities. But that's where the work just starts for the rest of us. You know, Moms for Liberty continues to grow and build chapters in local communities. It's important to get involved in your local school district, in your school, in the education policy. You know, what's happening there. Parents often volunteer in classrooms or show up at teacher night, but that's not good enough now. You have to be involved in education policy, especially when President Trump finishes dismantling the Department of Education. It's going to be more important than ever that parents get active and involved.
Get involved. I couldn't agree with you more. Tina, thank you so much for joining us on My View.
Oh, it's been a pleasure to be here with you today. Thanks so much.